Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm back in the building. April brings spring showers and May flowers, but it also brings financial literacy. As I promised, I'm going to be going live every day to bring you some tips. So this week, today, we're going to be talking about some steps on how to make a budget. But before we get started, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So hopefully come on in, get live. If you're in the building, hit like and share, drop a fireball so I know you're here. But we're going to get started. So answer this question to yourself, or you can respond in the chat. What if I told you that your money problems aren't money problems, they're mindset problems? How long are you going to let your bank account tell you what you can and can't do instead of you telling your money what to do? Do you have a budget, or does your budget have you stressed, stuck, and scared to check your balance? Well, if you answer yes to any of those questions, you're in the right place today. I'm going to talk about 5 unconventional ways to develop a budget, or spend plan, as I like to call it, because you're going to spend it. Why not make a plan for it? And here's the deal. Many of us think, and I've run into so many people who think, oh, I don't want to do a budget. It's so restrictive. I'm not going to be able to do all the things I want to do, when just the opposite is true. So I'm going to break down a couple of unconventional ways to look at a budget, because if you're living and breathing and you're an adult with a job, you've heard 1,000 different ways. Put down all your expenses and pay this first and pay that first. But I'm going to tell you something a little bit different. So the number one unconventional way to set up a budget is create your budget based on your values, or what they call a values-based budget. You're like, I wonder what that is. Well, what a values-based budget is where you take the money that you make and you allocate it based on what matters to you first: travel, giving, legacy, health and wellness, family, all the things that you feel like are the most important. You set your budget up in categories like that, things that will allow you to focus on the direction you're going in. I use some form of a value-based budget personally, because travel is like my number one thing. And so I find creative ways to set things up so that I can travel more and more and more. But my budget is really focused on travel. So when you look at my expenses, a lot of the expenses that I have, and even on my spend plan and in my actual accounts, you're going to see are travel expenses, because that's what's important to me. Now, that's the first way, values-based budget. The next way is what we call a reverse budget. What's a reverse budget, you say? Pay yourself first. We hear it, you think it, you know it instinctively, but have you ever tried to pay yourself first? That means before you pay your bills, before you set aside money for saving and investing first. Before anything else comes out, you take care of that. And many people also tithe. It's just like that. You do those things first, and then you pay your bills, and whatever else you have left adapts to what's left. Because one of the things that I've talked about on many occasions is that money is energy, and money flows in any direction you direct it to. But if you don't direct it, it'll flow right away from you. The third way is to use cash stuffing, the envelope method. But you can do it digitally, right? Use digital envelopes and budgeting apps to put your money in different places, just like the old school, where you get a bunch of envelopes and you label it with whatever the expense is, and you put the money in the envelope. And when the money was gone, that was it for that bucket. Now, one of the things that I do a little bit with the digital is I have accounts set up that do certain things. I know that if it's going to my credit union account, then that is going to go to pay down debt. I know that if it goes to my high yield savings account over at SoFi, that's set up to pay down some things that I set up from travel to go to. But I know that account has a name. It knows its job, right? but you have to think about things that way and give things a name. Then you want to do, maybe this is super unconventional with your finances, is to track your time. Track your time and your spending. Why? Because where your energy goes, your money flows. Instead of just tracking your dollars, track where your time goes each week. Where your money, where your time is going is where your money is going. I'll give you a cool example, and I was sharing this with a group on Sunday that I did a workshop for. I have an Apple phone, and hi, I'm an Apple girl. I still love you, Android folks. My dad's an Android guy, but Apple has this feature called productivity or whatever it is, but it sends you a report every week essentially and says, here's how you spent your time on your phone. Here's what you did. And so when I looked at mine for the last 2 to 3 weeks, because I hadn't looked at it in a while, I was like, wait a minute, I'm spending way too much time scrolling social media and interacting and doing different things than I want to be. And so I redirected immediately because I realized that because I was on social media a little bit longer than I had planned to be consuming data, consuming information, and not producing content, I was buying more stuff. I got a couple garden things showing up next week. But so my money went where my time was going because I was looking at social media. So again, we have to start thinking about how things are going. I see you on Instagram, Pretty X Gritty. Welcome to the party. But then the last fifth and final way to budget and to plan your money in an unconventional way is to create themes. Like, make it fun for yourself. Make it, the theme is my survival or basic needs, and you put all your rent, mortgage, utilities, the basic things. Thrive. You can use Thrive as, hey, these are my investments. These are things I'm investing in my future, my retirement account. If you're doing stocks, or if you're placing money into places where you can leverage it, like an IUL, and I'll talk about that on one of my next videos. And then you could create a vibe bucket, which is like self-care, fun. It helps to reframe what you're doing with budgeting, because it really is one of the most important things. And I'll go into this in a little bit of depth. We don't often think about our money in terms of where it comes from. Your money comes from the time you spent working for someone, either making dollars or working and producing a product or service that they paid you for, which may not be time based. So either you got paid based on your time that you spent through W-2, or you got paid based on what you produced, your effort, your output in a business setting. You still had to put out energy to get that money to come to you, for someone to say, hey, what you provided me created value, this is how much I'm going to pay for it, and now you've received money. And that's why I always say money is energy. And so what happens is, when we receive that money, if we don't give it, what I say, a job, we don't give it a function, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And it flows away. And I know many of us have had the experience where you maybe got unexpected money, or when you got your refund from either your taxes, or you got a refund from something else, or somewhere you just got money from that you did not have a plan for. And you look back and you wonder, I wonder what happened to that money, because the money didn't have a job. It just kind of did what it wanted to do. And so I don't care if it's $5, $500, $5,000, or $500,000. When you receive it, you have to have a plan for it. You have to have it earmarked to go somewhere so that it can function, so it feels like it knows, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. So keep that in mind. A couple cool quotes that, for you to think about is, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And that's where having a plan, having a spend plan, and Dave Ramsey said that. But here's one of my quotes that I came up with, and that is, don't let your budget feel like a prison. Make it your passport to freedom. And if you use this tool as a passport to freedom, then you will see a difference in your financial life, in your personal life, and all the things that, really matter to you. So put together the plan, focus, and move forward. And I'll just give you a quick summary again of the 5 things. 5 unconventional ways to develop a budget. Create a values-based budget. Reverse budgeting. Pay yourself first. Use a cash stuffing envelope method digitally if you can. Time track. Track your time and you'll track your spending. And budget in themes and not categories. And those things will help you to level up your finances in this time and to get more effective about what you're doing, where you're going, and how you're doing it. So, those are my financial tips for today during April Financial Literacy Month. But I will be back in the building again tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but I will be here because the big thing is that we have to learn to take control of our money and take control of our lives and take control of our time. So it's your girl Saran. Peace, love, and light. Let's get your money right. Bye.